In this lesson, you will be introduced to Cascading Style Sheets as implemented as part of the HTML 4.0 standard. You will learn how to write style definitions and how to include these definitions as part of your page and web design. You will also be introduced to the positioning of objects as described in the Cascading Style Sheets Positioning (CSS)P working draft. The Cascading Style Sheets (CSS) standard was thought to be the form of styles that would be added to the HTML standard. Microsoft's Internet Explorer 3.0 was the first browser to implement support for CSS. However, late in 1996, Netscape Corporation proposed another style standard. Debate continued and some contention remains. However, a CSSI standard has been adopted and a CSS2 is in draft. Also in draft is a standard for Cascading Style Sheets Positioning (CSSP), which attempts to describe properties for the location of objects in an HTML page. Style sheets are a powerful way of adding formatting to HTML pages. Using style sheets, you will be able to specify font sizes and points, set margins, change link colors, and do many other formatting tasks that were not possible before. Style sheet pages are downward compatible. A browser that cannot display the style sheet formatting will still show all of the content. Styles can be thought to control three basic areas of an HTML document. Page layout includes margins, padding around elements, and borders. Font style refers to whether the font is shown as plain, bold, or italic. Font size speaks for itself. Other text properties include the case of the text, upper or lower, color, alignment, indent, and others. These styles can be applied to individual elements, an H2 tag, a block or area of the page, 3 consecutive paragraphs of a page, a class of elements, all elements with the same class or ID name. Style information can be added to a document in several ways. If you want to add style information here and there in a document, you can get away with placing style information in line. This is the quick and dirty method, and it defeats the purpose of style sheets, which is to separate style from structure. But it may be best for your purposes. If you want to standardize the look of a few web pages, your best bet is to place a style block at the top of each page. This allows you to ensure that various elements or headers, paragraphs, etc. look the same throughout one page or a few pages. If you want to standardize the look of an entire site, you will want to link to an external style sheet. This is the preferred method. By changing one file, you can modify the appearance of every page on an entire website. This method does cause a very slight decrease in performance, roughly equivalent to placing a small image on each page, because often an extra connection must be opened to download the style sheet. A page developed to take full advantage of all the features of the latest browser can be simplified by clever use of external style sheets to adequately display all its content. The same page is copied, then each copy linked to a different style sheet. With very little work, you are able to provide low and high bandwidth versions or perhaps an alternate page format designed for printing. The foundation of the style is its rules. Each style definition is made up of one or more rules, which describe how an element is to be displayed by the browser. The basic syntax is simple. Select the element H, specify a property, color, and declare the value of the property, red. Put together, it will look like this. As declared by the style definition, the text of every header tag in the document will be red. The brackets show the start and finish of the definition. The colon essentially means equals. A semicolon appears at the end of each rule in the definition. Like all of HTML, the entire definition should be written on one line, but you will probably want to format your definitions to be easily read and edited by other humans. You may group values for certain properties, such as font, as shown here. There are different kinds of selectors which name the individual style definitions. One is a single HTML element, like the H in the above example. Another is more specific in defining an element in a particular context. For example, a selector PB would identify any bold tag contained within a paragraph tag. Then there are two new terms, class and ID. Class is meant to identify a grouping of elements. ID to identify smaller sets within a class. However, in many instances, they can be used interchangeably. A class selector is written with a period in front of the class name. An ID selector gets a pound sign or hash mark in front of its name. Finally, comment tags for styles are different from those for HTML. The style comment tag is begun with a forward slash, followed by an asterisk, and closed with an asterisk and a forward slash. Remember that there are three ways to include style information in your page design: inline, in style blocks on each page, or in a style sheet. There are two ways to place style information inline. The first is to assign a style to a particular tag right when you use it. For example, say you want to have a paragraph where the font size is 20 points. Here is how you do it. The second way to place style information inline is to use a new tag called span. Span by itself doesn't mean anything. You use it to surround text to which you want to add style information. Here is how the span tag might be used. As you can see, adding style information inline is easy. But it's much harder to go through a document and change a number of style attributes than it is to change a handful of them at the top of the document. That's why it's generally better to place style information in a centralized location, such as at the top of a page. This is done by inserting a style block at the top of your document. The block should come in the head tag. Here's an example where the body, headers, paragraphs, and hyperlinks are defined in the style block. In this example, styles are separately set for the body, H1 heading, P paragraph, and A anchor tags in the style block at the top of the document. Up to this point, changing the format of any part of a site, large or small, required editing each instance of each affected page individually. Clearly, the use of style blocks for each document reduces the editing load. To absolutely minimize your effort, you may now link to a common document that contains the declaration of styles. Using a common style sheet will allow you to define styles for an entire website. This feature may be particularly useful if you have multiple authors from different areas of your organization. Distributing document templates and using style sheets will enable the webmaster to maintain the look and feel of a large website. You might create a plain text file with the following contents. Assume you have placed this on your server at the following address. To link a page to this style sheet, simply place the following in the head portion of the page. The link tag is similar to an A anchor tag. It uses the href attribute to identify a document to load. The rel relationship attribute defines the relationship the retrieved document has to the current document. Type defines the file type so that the browser knows how to interpret this file. The .css file extension stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Using the style sheet, all of the declared elements of your page should conform to these styles. You will need to make sure that the MIME type reported for mystyles.ass is text/CSS. Have the server administrator add this type to the web server. You may use more than one source for style information in a document. Style information is given precedence based on how close that information is to the actual page element. If a section of one document in your website needs to be different, you might include a style block for that document, which will override the external style sheet. Likewise, styled information included in a span tag or as part of any other specific tag will override style declarations in a block or external sheet. In order to give the control over page layout and design, which desktop publishing and enhanced word processors have made authors demand, new properties and values have been defined. Some of these concern the display of background and body elements, others the display of text, and still others which describe the properties of a new grouping of HTML elements, referred to as box elements. These box elements are defined as those which have a line break before or after as part of the display, including the family of H tags, the P tag, list tags, and the new div tag. There are also values for the various units of measure. Here are the units of measure. They are either absolute units of measurement or they are relative to some object. These properties control the color of the text and the background, as well as the placement and properties of an optional background image. Imagine that you have the task of creating an online document that helps to teach new clerks the proper form and contents of a contract. It is easy enough to put a sample document online. However, using style sheets, you can identify the components and sections of the document. Even better, using the style definitions, you can easily change the display of these identified objects to allow you to quickly create customized versions of this page for different audiences. The following exercises will demonstrate some of the style properties as you create such a document. Let's continue by looking at the text properties. The following properties control text alignment, spacing, and other formatting such as underline and case, capitalization. These properties control typography in the document. The current HTML standard encourages the setting of these properties through style sheets rather than as attributes of the individual tags, as has been done previously. There are 32 box properties that control the formatting of the box associated with block. They apply to an element which has a line break before or after as part of its display, including the family of H tags, the P tag, list tags, and the new div tag. They also apply to the body tag. Margin is relative to the enclosing parent. For example, if the margin for a block quote is set for 20 pixels and the margin for the body is 30 pixels, the contents of the block quote will be 50 pixels from the edge of the browser window. The border encloses the object. The padding is measured from the border of an object to its contents, so the border and padding here behave as they do for tables. Similar to the align attribute of the img tag, float can separate an object from the rest of the document, allowing other content to flow around it. Clear pushes content past a floated object. Font properties consist of display and list properties. Display indicates whether the element is displayed in the document, and the list properties control the formatting of HTML lists such as UL and OL. The list properties control the bullet items and the type of numbering in the list items. They also allow you to substitute a graphic of your own choice as a bullet. The list style position property allows you to control the indent on the second line of a list item, either aligned with the bullet outside or the first letter of the content of the list item inside. Display controls whether an object is displayed in the browser or not, allowing you to hide selected portions of your document. Combined with a scripting language as part of dynamic HTML, DHTML, display becomes a powerful tool in creating dynamic content. Without the power of scripting, you might still use it to provide multiple versions of a single document more easily. Though it is generally thought that it is good web design to present the users with a series of smaller pages instead of a single long page, there are situations where the long document is preferred. However, you may have wished that you could change some of the page elements for certain sections, such as your choice of font or the background color. There are now two style properties that may be used to set page breaks for printing: page break before and page break after. While they obviously will have no effect on the page display in the browser, they will assist in the creation of documents which are intended to be printed by the user. These properties can be set in the definition of block elements like div, h, p, block quote, and lists. They have two possible values, auto and always. Auto ensures that the page break does not occur in the middle of the object, though it does not force a page break. Always forces a page break in every situation. As noted above, the power of style sheets comes when you can edit a single document and change the display of your entire website. This can be done by removing the style blocks from your document, then linking these documents to a style sheet. Again, the style sheet is a plain text document which contains all your style definitions for all or a portion of your site. By creating a link in the head of each document, the browser will retrieve those style definitions and apply them to the document. The link goes in the head tag of the document as follows. Of course, you will have to create the objects in your HTML documents using the standard tags plus the class and ID naming conventions you've learned. A proposal to add to the CSS has been presented by Netscape, known as Cascading Style Sheets Positioning, CSSP. It allows the page author to describe the positioning of objects on the page. It is now March 1998, supported in the Navigator 4.x and IE 4.x browsers, though real-world use does seem to produce erratic results. Nevertheless, it is another step forward in page design. The position is the first property of note. The position of an object can be absolute in relation to the browser window or relative in terms of the object's position in the flow of the HTML document. You will generally position objects absolutely, though you might position an object as relative to its place in a table, as an example. Once the type of positioning is defined, the position is set with the top and or left properties in the units of your choice. The height and width of the object can be set. If the object exceeds the height or width that is set, the overflow property determines how the remainder of the object is displayed. Thus, you may get something that looks like a scrolling frame if the height of a block of text is set to be smaller than the size of the block. You may opt to clip an object, choosing only a specified rectangular portion of the object to be displayed. The only shape allowed is a rectangle, and the dimensions are declared as top, right, bottom, left, in relation to the object being clipped. Visibility hides or shows the object. The Z-index sets the level of the object in relation to other objects on the page. If two objects are positioned in the same space, the one with the higher Z-index will be displayed on top.